Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Handmade by Ying with Donna. Today is October the 5th, 2022, and I'm here with another story for you. Think about the most important moments in your life. What immensely comes to mind? The day that you learned to ride your bike, the day you found love, the day you graduated high school, the day you met your spouse, the day you were married. Life is comprised of all the lots of moments. We all have those top few that pop into our head, and some are great while others we wish to forget. I would have to say the most important moments in my life have been great. I grew up in central New Jersey, spending summer days at camp and at the shore. My dad taught me and tried to teach me how to change the oil in a car and a flat tire. I was not interested at all. I was just 17. And I did not want to ruin my perfect manicure. I tried college, but it wasn't for me. I decided to attend a beauty school, and you guess it, I was focused on art nail. I was really good at it. I eventually found a great position at a nail salon in my own hometown. I was close with the owner of the salon who mentioned me one day that her son had a friend, my first blind date. And as it would turn out, my last. That's how I met my husband. So many important moments have happened since that date. We eloped to Las Vegas. We welcomed our first son and then our second. I became a full-time mom and a wife and was thrilled to have much time with my family. You would never have thought, and I'll never forget the moment that you are told that you have breast cancer. I remember hearing those 4 words, but nothing else after that. It was kind of like being in a haze. The doctor was talking to me, and all I heard was something like when the adults spoke in cartoons. Washa, 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 washa. It was 2006, and I was only 33 years old. It all started innocently enough because of my not being such a morning person with my husband who loves to stay in bed as long as possible. I didn't. I tend to get up early, and in an effort to not disturb him, I would usually get ready in our son's bathroom. One day, I caught my reflection in a mirror, and I had noticed the underside of my breast had changed its shape and its appearance. It gave me pause, but I just continued to prepare for my busy day ahead. Something being wrong with me wasn't even on the agenda. I was still young, on the youth side, and I mentioned to my husband that I saw something, and he encouraged me to just go get it checked with a calm, adamant tone. And it was probably nothing, and I wish he was right. I was an active young mother, and I was happy with the busy life. I kept an eye on the shape of the breast, but I generally ignored the situation. The shape and the texture of the breast stayed the same, not worse or not better, so my worries stayed at bay too. I went to my primary physician, who asked me to return in about 6 weeks. She didn't seem too concerned. She thought that the change might be due to hormonal fluctuations. I was relieved. She ordered a mammogram just to be sure. When the mammogram results came back inconclusive, she sent me to the breast surgeon for a more comprehensive exam. Even the specialist thought things looked okay. But while checking me, the atmosphere in the small room changed. The doctor scheduled me immediately for a biopsy, and several days later, I learned that I had breast cancer. When I think about that day so many years ago, that I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I still sit with chills. I was determined to stay strong, but when I broke the news to my husband, I fell apart. My husband and I agreed to not tell the boys what was going on at that point. Still, it really hit me a few days later that I was just a 33-year-old mother of 2 young children and I had breast cancer. I became angry, I became frightened, and I struggled with my morbidity. That summer was spent at countless doctor appointments, getting exams, having blood work and scans, sitting in the oncologist's office, listening to her explain in detail the type of tumor that I had and the treatment options were and what treatments everything would entail. It felt like repeated punches to the gut. How is this life now? One minute I was happily planning my family events, and now I'm arranging my breast cancer treatment plan. Suddenly, terms like bilateral mastectomy, breast reconstruction, round 6 of chemotherapy, and more reconstruction became my new normal. Cancer plays quite a mental game with any new diagnosis. Fortunate, I had a tremendous support system from my family and friends. I started to get better at managing my emotions. I told myself that I had to do whatever it took to be there for my husband and my kids. I knew that I had a rough road ahead. Surgery was planned, and I started chemotherapy. I had 6 rounds. Some days were definitely harder than others. On those harder days, my husband would look at me in the face and remind me that I had to be tough. And then he would usually make a joke that was definitely not PG rated or politically correct. Still, like he always does, he got me to laugh, and I understood he was trying to say. My husband kept me upbeat and positive. To him, cancer was the enemy, and we fought it with laughter. By December of 2007, I was all ready to complete my breast cancer reconstruction. My former bald head was now full of hair, and very adamantly, it was short. Who was kidding? I had a crew cut, but I didn't care. I had hair, and I was about to get my new boobs. I was so very ready to get all of this horrendous stuff behind me. Each year, I was just able to get through post-diagnosis as a healthy woman, pushing from the previous year into the struggles. The future from total domination in my thoughts. Cancer became more of a passing thought, something that was, but not more. Maybe I got a little cocky about it. Maybe just the thought that I was one of the lucky ones that did not suffer the reoccurrence. But this was not how my story continues. More than 10 years after my early breast cancer diagnosis, my oncologist called me to say that my tumor markers from my last blood draw were up, that they had seen a steady incline over the last few months. I had a repeat blood draw, which revealed that something was amiss. That was the potential for the reoccurrence, a real fact. A PET scan showed some abnormalities to 2 of my ribs and the fluid around one of my lugs and one of the sides of where the breast cancer was. A thoracic was performed, and they also did a biopsy. And yes, indeed, the breast cancer had come back. This time it was metastatic breast cancer, or MBC. You definitely never forget the day you learned that you had cancer return, and that this time it was spreading. I had no idea what that meant in the terms of treatment. My mind immediately flashed back to 2006 and 2007. I thought all of that I had already gone through and how hard it had been. The thought of my husband and my children. The thought of how strong I had felt and just could not phantom that I had cancer again. My biggest fear besides dying was just that I had to go through chemotherapy again and do it all over. Would I be mentally prepared to do it again? So many questions of the same nature seemingly made things worse this go-around. Strangely, in this case, The fear of the already known was worse than the fear of the unknown. My husband accompanied me to the oncologist appointment. I knew I would need his strength and his silly sense of humor. My doctor explained to me that my HR positive or HER2 negative MBC treatment regimen would increase, and once a day oral treatment called Imbrance also was needed. She explained the benefits and the risk including the serious and the common side effects. Early on after starting this treatment, I had some pretty bad fatigue, the kind I even needed afternoon naps and they wouldn't cure. My once thick hair was thinning out a bit since starting the treatment. I also had to take a few other treatments and my low white blood cell counts. Everyone experiences this with this kind of treatment. I set an alert on my phone that goes off for 21 days at 6:30 p.m. and then I get a 7-day off treatment cycle. This way, I was able to know exactly where I was in the cycle, and it really was helpful. I get regular scans, and my doctor has been very happy with the results. Everyone that's taken this treatment has done phenomenal, and it's important that you talk to your doctor about the appropriate treatment plan for you. My current health status is mine to tell. I chose to share my condition as I please. I see my MBC like some people see their life, but I try not to let it define my life. Of course, this is just my experience and everyone's may differ. I made the decision the first go around that I would focus on what was most important and not worry about much that was out of my control. I am not saying that this happens overnight, but I can say I chose to live my life in the moment each and every day. An MBC diagnosis sucks. I wish I hadn't had it. It was worse than my worst enemy. Still, the clarity it's given me, the awareness of what's truly important, is a gift. There's a silver lining in everything, and tough, adamantly, sometimes it's hard to find. I feel like that I have time to figure things out. I have stage 5 cancer. Sounds really scary, and it is sometimes very overwhelming. And when it gets too much, I find a way to snap myself into a self-induced pity party. Usually, I think of a funny memory or one of my husband's inappropriate jokes, and it brings me back to the life of the living. And I'm not giving up. So this is just one more story that shared that just by her being diligent and seeing that misshape was enough to alert her that there was something wrong. This is a young lady, and thank God her and her husband went and got exams and got checked, because that detection early has helped her to avoid a worse diagnosis. So take care. God bless, and I'll see you back in the next video. But be diligent. Get checked. That's what this is all about. Take care.